Welcome to Illuminate the knowledge sharing series by NoPay Forms. I hope you all are doing well. I, Rabia Monga, Customer Success Manager at NoPay Forms, will be your host for this session today. Along with us, we also have Mr. Sai Sujit, Customer Success Manager at NoPay Forms. So welcome, Sai.
Thanks, Rabia. Thanks for the lovely introduction. And it's always a pleasure to do a session along with you. I also welcome the audience for NoPay Performs Illuminate, a knowledge series session. I'm sure it's going to be an enthralling session for all the audience here, just like our previous sessions. On today's session, we are going to explain you how to manage your admissions on the go. We have many universities and colleges associated with us, and they are successfully managing the admissions on the go. And we would be discussing on how it is going to be there. So
Right.
let's not take any. Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry. So before we move ahead, let's just quickly give them a background about what NPF is. So NPF, that is NoPay Forms, is India's leading enrollment automation solution provider. We are very proud to acknowledge that we are the only education-specific solution provider in the entire country, and we have partnered with more than 600 institutes to streamline the entire admission process. So yes, Sai, over to you to take forward the session.
Yes. Thanks, Rabia. So if you look at the screen, you can see there is two approaches. One is the traditional approach and one is an evolved approach. So Rabia, what do you think how we have transformed from the traditional approach to evolved approach? Do you have any take over this, looking at the particular topic?
Yes, I can see. In fact, there has been a major shift. Earlier institutes and major universities and colleges were following a traditional and offline approach to conduct the entire admission process. I'm sure you will also be able to highlight the same in the similar direction. And now we have seen an entire shift from traditional to evolved approach as well. So,
Exactly.
Sai, what do you think? What has been a major drastic change from the traditional approach to now the evolved approach?
So Rabia, as I've been in this industry for almost 7 years, so I've seen the industry has shifted from a traditional approach to an evolved approach very gradually. Earlier, colleges and universities used to have multiple teams from each purpose. They used to have a marketing team separately.
Yeah.
They used to have an admission team which nurtures the leads, counsel the leads, and kind of get the admission separately. They used to have another team for sending communication alone. But when they send this communication, they don't know whether what is the performance of this communication, whether the email has been opened, whether the SMS has been clicked, and recently the WhatsApp as well. So every team used to work in silos, and every team used to have a different tool for themselves. So due to this, the colleges were somewhere lagging in terms of the competition, or somewhere lagging in terms to get the delivered value, not just for the colleges but also for the students. So in terms of resulting in lead leakage, in terms of it was resulting in the loss for the colleges in terms of revenue, in terms of admissions, in terms of in terms of enrollments. Overall, if you look at that, there were so many aspects or so many challenges. So that's the reason I think. What do you say, Rabia? How gradually in this 5 years time, I can see that the change happened in the last 3 years, where the digitization happened across the country. So what do you say, Rabia, for that?
Exactly. I believe still there are a lot of universities or colleges and institutions who are still very offline heavy in terms of managing their process, right? So the entire admission process is still probably being managed through a traditional approach, wherein we have multiple departments, admission team, marketing team, counseling team, all of these working in silos. But when we say that we have moved from the traditional approach to a much more evolved approach, we basically mean exactly, having a digitalized process in place, having a platform in place in which the end-to-end journey for the candidate is streamlined and centralized. So with the evolved
Yes.
approach, not only the students are getting the benefit, even the admission teams are getting the benefit of the same. Because earlier, with different teams working in silos, there was no transparency in the entire platform. There was no transparency. They did not have proper communication. They used to rely on whatever data points the respective team member would be sharing. So when we say evolved approach, you're focusing more on having a centralized platform in place, which has helped multiple universities, institutes, and colleges to deliver and conduct the entire admission process in a much more seamless and centralized manner.
Yeah,
So
so
I believe,
that's what we are going to discuss in the masterclass. So if you can explain to the audience on what we will be covering on this session, it would be extremely great, and I'm also excited for the same.
Yes, and I've seen a lot of people have already started joining. I would just request if the audience have any questions, any doubts, any queries that they would like us to address, we'll be happy to take them over. However, we do have a Q&A section, in the poll, in the chat screen that will be visible to you. So please be feel to put up your questions, and we will also be addressing the Q&A session at the end of this particular platform.
Yeah,
So
we also have our No Paper Forms integrated admissions assistant chatbot, Nia, who would be helping you answering the questions as well. You're free to question and put your questions in the question box. Yes.
Yes. So moving forward in this masterclass, we'll be broadly covering up how to manage the entire admission process on the go, on the move, right? We'll also be focusing upon the app approach. As you would have also, been a part of our previous Illuminate sessions, every time whenever we have a masterclass, we always try to come up with some approaches which will help our end users, our teams to actually start working in the similar direction to get the most out of the same. So for this masterclass also, we'll be having a strategic app approach in place. We'll also be covering up what's new at No Paper Forms, and specifically what's new at No Paper Forms mobile app. Since when we talk about managing the entire admission process on the go, we'll be focusing upon mobile apps so that while the teams are on the move, are on the go, they can immediately access their mobile app and they can do all the sort of activities. So what's new will contain all the new features that have been recently launched under mobile app for our teams to get accustomed to it. And obviously, we'll be also having a live demo walkthrough of the mobile app for our audience.
So Rabia, as we have discussed the challenges in the industry, I would like to kind of highlight a few more challenges on how to, manage admissions seamlessly on a mobile solution, be it limited data capturing. So we have seen like people collecting the data on an Excel sheet, or when the calls come, the counselors would not be able to save that contact immediately on a real time, or adding up the reminders or follow-ups for the same calls when they're getting it. And we can also see that university teams work in isolation. Like, again, other than the silos, there are also outreach teams who are working all across the country, traveling to all across the educational phase and meeting different people. So even for their accountability or even for the productivity, how do we do that? And every team has inconsistent tools, and they also use different platforms for each purpose. How do you maintain the transparency alone? So all these can be discussed during the session. And let's not wait, and let's go to the quick poll for the audience. And yeah, so the question is, the poll is on your screen. Are you using your mobile app to manage and carry out your daily tasks, right from lead capture to allocation, marking follow-ups, measuring overall admissions, health, and etc.? So this is the poll.
I think, Sai, this is a very interesting, poll question that we have in place. In fact, as you mentioned, the challenges that, the teams encounter while going through the traditional approach, and, what were the challenges in the industry and how we are actually solving the same with our mobile app and the entire solution as well. One thing which came to my mind is, I think mobile devices are one, thing that is very handy to us, right? Yes. We have access to the same on probably, I think, on a daily basis, on a runtime basis, everything, whatever sort of activities, if I have to make any calls, any personal calls, any professional calls, and for any sort of activity, I would always have phones, very easily accessible to me. So, the purpose of this session and to having a focused session all together on the mobile app, the reason for the same is also because when you have some device very handy and very easy to use right in front of you, why not use it in the most efficient manner? Why not use it to conduct the end-to-end activity, right? So this is exactly what we'll also be focusing upon. I would also like to understand whether our teams are also having the similar direction, similar mindset towards the same, right? So I'm really excited to see what results we'll be having over here. Because I think the counseling teams, be it the counseling teams, be it be it the counseling teams, the management and the marketing teams, all of these have those sort of, they are already conducting those activities.
So Rabia, the poll seems the answers have already been there on the screen. So yeah.
Yes. So as we can see that 60% have said yes, that they are using their mobile app to manage and carry out their daily tasks, right from the lead capture to allocation, marking follow-ups, measuring overall admissions, health, etc. There are 31% who have said no. So I believe through this particular masterclass, we will be able to target and cater to those 31%. And I'm sure they'll be able to take some great learnings from this particular session. However, I am concerned about those 10% of the target audience who have said that they do not have a mobile app in place. Right. So I think probably we can just focus upon how we can help all these audiences which are aligned with us for this particular session and guide them how they can make most of the mobile app and the features that it has to offer.
Yeah, not just the 10%. I think the audience is 100%. So we should focus on everybody. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, no doubt, definitely. Because I believe this masterclass will, be for everyone. Whosoever does not have the access to mobile app as of now, we'll be focusing upon why they should be having it and how it will be streamlining their processes further. Those who have the access of mobile app, they're using it, but not probably using it in the right direction. This is going to be for them as well, because we'll be guiding them through how they can make the most of it through the app approach. And those 60% of the audience, I'm really glad that you're already using the platform to the best of its capabilities. But I'm sure you also will have some great insights, some new features that we have launched recently in the mobile app, and we'll be, moving it in the same direction.
Yes.
So moving forward, as you can see, I think as we already discussed, there are multiple teams involved in the entire admission process. It's not just the counseling team who's, daily being on the call with the candidates. It's also the admission heads, it's also the higher management. It's also the marketing and the outreach team that's involved in the entire admission process. So, how about having one particular app, one particular mobile app, one device for all? So whosoever is accessing the mobile app from wherever location they are, at what particular point of time they are, automatically they'll be able to see their own team's respective data point that is relevant to them. Right. So that is exactly what with the evolved approach, we are also trying to move ahead, is that with the evolved approach now, all the admission departments, all the teams involved in the admission process will be moving towards a more collaborative approach. How? Through our mobile app. So if I talk about the admission team, how the admission teams will be able to access the mobile app and how they'll be able to make the most of the same is because, for example, if I am from an admission team, right, I would want to know how my admission, the entire admission health is going, right? I would want to see how my leads are performing, how my teams are performing, whether there are any paid applications or not, whether candidates are going ahead with the application, what is the, conversion percentage, what is the verification rate. I would want to see all of those things, right? Being the admission team department, right? Now, similarly, if I talk about the counseling team, at the end of the day, it's the counseling team who day in, day out gets in touch with the candidates, right? They are the ones who getting in touch on calls with the candidates. They are sending them the emailers or the SMSs or the WhatsApp communication as well. And so these are the people, who are using the platform, the web version specifically for the day-to-day activities, like nurturing the leads, basically. So when we say, if I, as a counselor, if I would have a mobile app very readily available for me, I can do all of those activities. I can add the lead stage, change the, add the follow-ups, change the notes, send any WhatsApp communication. If I can do all of those activities just with few clicks on my mobile phone, I think it's a luxury and a privilege to all of them, right? Because imagine having to work only on mobile phones on the entire day and your work is sorted. You don't have to rely on anyone else. You can have the mobile phone, you can see the data and take out the analysis. And similarly, it goes for the rest of the teams. I'm sure you'll be able to take, enlighten our audience for the same.
So exactly as what Rabia was saying, it is very handy on mobile. You just don't have to go to the desktop, log in, go to this particular insights or dashboards. You just have it on your mobile. You just open the app and it's already logged in. So you can check the real-time insights, even for the campaign manager, for any marketing team to have. So it is really beautifully developed in the mobile app where you just have to click on campaign manager. You have real-time activities and real-time analysis of each campaign performing for you. So imagine you have 10 campaigns and all the campaigns are on a single screen in the mobile app where you can slide the particular portion in the mobile app where the campaigns are stagnant, but you can see the verification percentage of each campaign, the applications that have been generated for each campaign, and also the enrollments. So it's beautifully developed and also created a very good user experience where you can just slide with your fingertips. So even for the management, they get the board eye view of the entire team's progress. There are 5 to 6 teams which were working in silos earlier. Now with the evolved approach, everything is on a single platform or a single mobile where the management can see what is happening across the university, how many courses the admissions have over or enrolled, how many teams are performing to their peaks, and how is the progress of each team. So they have the board eye view also. Talking about the management, I also got in another point where, we have an iOS app developed as well, along with the Android app. So this also gives them a greater visibility and transparency of the entire admissions or the entire life cycle of admissions in a single view. So Rabia, what would you say for that?
I think it's a great, platform. If you have the accessibility on your mobile devices, definitely, because there are multiple times we've interacted with multiple partners, multiple universities, institutes, the higher management that are involved in the entire process, and we've gotten this feedback as well that it's very convenient for them to manage out their process and see what is happening, right? Because the admission team heads would want to see their own team's performance, so they don't have to rely on a particular person to share the data with them, or they don't need to access the laptop on an immediate basis because they have the data already available with them on their mobile devices. Right. So this is exactly the evolved approach that you're also talking about, that it's not only about digitalizing, it's also about using all the mediums, all the channels that are available with us and making the most of the same. So I'm sure our audience will be able to relate to the same. In fact, I would also request our audience that once we'll start with the demo or the live session, I would request if you can also simultaneously start using the mobile app to go through the same, have your own feedback and your suggestions, and we'll be happy to take them over.
Rabia, looking at this slide, I remember, one of the counselor head. So I recently went to one of the counselor training sessions and I was sitting with the counselor head, and they have a separate framework where at the end of each day, the counselor head sends a productivity report to the particular counselor. And I asked her, how do you do it after work? So she told me that she travels in the Hyderabad metro, where she has the time to kind of go through the mobile app and see which counselor is performing well and which counselor is not. And she sends reports on the mobile app. Imagine a person sitting in a metro, okay, and traveling across to her home, doing this in a very handy position where she can do it. And I was really surprised looking at her efficiency of or usage of mobile app. Then I was really thinking, oh, this is what probably if you can kind of transform across the universities would be really great. Okay, so that's what I was thinking when I heard to her story.
Yes, definitely. And I believe there are multiple such, cases that we both might have encountered, in fact, because a lot of teams are already using. We already know 60% of our audience together, in this particular session are already using the mobile apps. Now, our main agenda would also be to guide them how they can use it with a much more better efficiency and a proper approach.
Yes, that is the approach which we are showing it on the screen, which we will be discussing right now. So it's the mobile APP approach, which means the mobile app approach, where the A stands for acquire and allocating your leads, and the P stands for performing and synchronizing your leads, which comes like leads, adding the follow-ups, notes, voice notes, which we'll be showing in the demo. And the last P is prioritizing your target audience. In previous sessions also, we have discussed on, imagine you have a number of leads, how do you prioritize those leads and kind of get the maximum results. So without wasting much time, let's go to a quick poll. Post this, we'll be discussing on the app approach and the demo part.
So I believe I'm very excited to see what we'll be having, responses to this particular question. So as you can see on your screens, we have a question: how do you make calls to your prospects? And the options which are: we make calls from our personal phone / landline. We make in-app calls which are in sync with our CRM. We use apps like WhatsApp, Zoom, Skype, etc. And the fourth option is we have integrated our telephony vendor with their CRM. So I'm very excited to see the response to this, because again, this is going to be a very important parameter in our session as well. Specifically catering to the, the P's that we have, under app approach, we have A as acquiring and allocating the leads. Under P, we have prioritizing the leads. And, the next P is performance and synchronization. So I'm really looking forward to the polls on the same. And we are receiving quite a lot of response, and I'm really glad. I'm very thankful to all the people, all the audience members who have joined us today for the session. I'm sure you'll be having great learnings, great insights to take back, and great feedback from to be given to us as well at the end of the session. If you have any questions, any queries, please feel free to add in the Q&A section. We'll be happy to take them up. Yes, Sai, please.
Ravi, I'm thinking most of the people would select the second or third. We'll see. We'll wait for the results.
Yes, I mean, I think, yes, those 60% of the audience who already, had access to No Performance mobile app, and they're already using the mobile app. So even I'm expecting that, we'll be getting some positive response in the similar direction. However, the 10% who do not have a mobile app already, probably this particular session will be a masterclass for all to see how the rest of the team members, how the rest of the teams are also performing in the industry with respect to their admission process. Right. So I think this is again going to be really, it's going to give us also a great understanding about our teams, how the various partners are already using the platform up to the best or not.
Yes, so I was thinking about this. So I think the 5 years before and now, it's the evolved approach to the traditional approach to the evolved approach. I think the major differentiator here is the mindset of universities, which has changed
Right.
because of the new age universities, because of the upcoming universities, and every university wants to grow. So I think the differentiator or the factor here is the mindset.
Yes, definitely. And with that side, we already have the poll results on the screen. So 25% of the audience have selected the value as we make calls from our personal phone or landline. 61% of the audience have actually selected the value as we make in-app calls, which are in sync with the CRM. Kudos to you guys. We have 4% who say we use apps like WhatsApp, Zoom, and Skype. 10% again mentioned that we have integrated a telephony vendor with their CRM. That's again a great way of managing your and doing the nurturing activities via calls. So Sai, this is exactly this is I think in sync with what we got as a previous result as well, wherein we did see that 60% of the audience already have the mobile apps installed. And now we are able to see 61% have already are using the in-app calling functionality as well, which is again pre-integrated with the CRM. And there are 10% who are also using the telephony vendors integrated again with the CRM. I think this masterclass is going to help these 10% also, because with our mobile app, this telephony integration can also be merged together, right? This can also be synced with the mobile in-app calling. So I think this is something that we'll take up while we'll be covering up the rest of the features and the demo also.
Yes. So Rabia, let's discuss the app approach now that we have gone through the results and we have analyzed what people mostly do and where it can be done better. So let's discuss the app approach. Just like our every session, we have one approach. In this today's session, we have this app approach. So the A in the app approach starts for acquiring and allocating leads. So when I talk about capturing inquiries on the go, imagine you are a counselor and you're having a toll-free number for your college and people are calling you using the toll-free. So you don't have to save the number and add it as a quick lead. On the go of the mobile app, on the home screen itself, you have an option of add lead or discard the lead. If it's a relevant lead, you can add it to your you can add the lead, or if it's not a relevant lead, you can discard the lead. Similarly, there will not be any lead leakage. Okay, any lead leakage, somebody is calling you, you don't have to save the number, you can go to your desktop, add the lead. This would eliminate almost every lead leakage that is happening from your calls. So it's better. Next, so Rabia, what do you think, like how do we go about it, like the next approach?
So before moving ahead with the next approach as well, since you covered the acquiring and allocation of the leads, for example, a lot of times we also encounter, sometimes it could be a possibility that our counseling team members are receiving some calls, probably some particular student might have referred the candidates, and they might have provided the counselor's mobile number for them to get in touch with. So whenever counselors are actually getting incoming calls, there are two ways. If at all they have the in-app calling functionality already enabled for them and they're already using the same, I'm sure our audience would be able to relate with this. With this, what happens is, let's say if a candidate is calling, any unknown number is basically giving a call, right? And I'm a counselor. So if I'm getting a call, I will be getting an option through our mobile app. We'll be able to see whether it's a registered lead or not. If it is not a registered lead, I will be able to actually take the call. And if at all it was a personal call, I can discard that, entry. If at all it was a genuine lead call who was interested in my particular institute, I will definitely add that call. So when we're saying, acquiring and allocating the leads, we also mean is, a lot of times what happens is, teams think that they have to access the web version only to be able to add the quick lead. But that's not the true case. You can actually do the same set of activity from the mobile app as well. So if at all there's any particular candidates who are coming, there's an offline walk-in coming in the happening in the campus, and they can just simply add the candidate's email ID, name, mobile number, all the basic information through add quick lead option from the mobile app itself. So that's how convenient it is, right? And coming on to the next approach that we have, which is prioritizing your opportunities. I think this is something we have time and again discussed with our audience also in multiple different Illuminate series as well, where we've talked about it's very important to identify the right set of target audience. Right. And it is very important to actually prioritize our day to nurture the potential ones first, and then, go ahead with the rest of the lead pool also. So how that can be done is, again, I do not have to only rely on the desktop or the web version. If I have the mobile app in place, I can do the similar activities on the mobile app as well. So whatever activities I'll be doing in the web version, they will automatically be synced with the mobile app version. Simultaneously, whatever activities I'll be doing in the mobile app version, they will also be synced with the web version, right? So it goes hand in hand, vice versa. Now, when we say prioritizing your opportunities, we also mean that, you should be able to filter the data. You should be able to define the right target audience at the right time, depending upon which cycle of the admission phase you are at. And you will be able to do the same from the mobile app itself by applying various advanced filters. So the advanced filters, the same filters that we're able to see and make use of in the web version of No-Pay Forms, the similar way you can make use of the mobile app as well to do all of these activities. So you can apply the prioritization strategies, that is, working first on the form, not submitted, then working on the form not started, and then working on the not verified ones or the verified ones. So likewise, you can actually make use of the multiple strategies that we've already discussed earlier as well. In addition to that, we also have some very basic information displayed to us on the mobile app. For example, the lead status. Now, by lead status, we mean whether a particular candidate has verified itself or not. And as we know, by verification, we mean the candidates who have a higher intent than the rest of the candidates in the pool, and they have shown some kind of interest. So, by being able to actually get this information readily accessible, very handy, very easy to use on the mobile app, will actually help our counseling teams also to take the next step, right? Even if we talk about the lead score. Now, as we know, lead score, gets automatically given to the candidates based on the activities that they are doing, plus based on the activities that the counseling teams will be doing. So there's a positive lead score and negative lead score being given upon based on the activities. And accordingly, the counseling team members can actually filter out, then you can see, out of the entire lead pool, which particular candidate has a higher lead score to be further nurtured on. And similarly, lead stages, they can filter the lead stages, they can define which are the interested ones, which are the not interested ones, which are under warm, which are under hot, and simultaneously they can take those activities. And not only this, they can in fact also work and prioritize the follow-ups, right? So Sai, I believe, I think this is very common. Being able to know how to manage follow-ups for the counseling team members, I think is very, very important. To be able to manage a routine as well. So that is again very easily accessible in the mobile app. So with this, Sai, if you have anything to add up to this particular approach that we're just discussing.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward for the demo. So we will be discussing all this.
Yes, definitely. We'll be discussing all of these things in detail as well. And with this, we would like to also cover up the last aspect of the app approach, which is performance and synchronization. And I'm sure even now, the counseling team members post, being in touch with the respective candidates, they will be marking the respective notes. They will be marking the respective follow-ups. They will be changing the respective lead stages, right? They would be sending the emails, SMS, and WhatsApp. All of those things they would be doing already. However, the fact it's about whether are they able to do it on the go or not, whether are they able to manage and do all of these nurturing activities through their mobile devices or not. And with the mobile app version in place, they are definitely going to be able to seamlessly do all of these activities. They will just not have to access a laptop. For example, now let's consider a scenario wherein, I'm a counselor, let's say, and during the day, for example, immediately I received a particular call and I'm not in front of my desktop. So what I would do at that point of time, I'll probably make notes if I have a notepad, or I'll just make notes probably in my mobile device notepad. That's not a scalable process, right? Ideally, what should have been done is, as and when the call has been received, immediately the mobile app will showcase a pop-up, right? The pop-up will contain the profile of the candidate. They will just have to click on that and enter the notes. So while being on the move, while being on the go, right, they just need to access their mobile device for any nurturing activities, for any calling, for any email communication, SMS, WhatsApp communication, all of those things basically. I'm sure our audience will be able to relate to the same when we have the respective demo shown to them. Yes, Sai. So if you can also, help our audience to know what's actually new at the No Pay Forms mobile app, I'm sure they'll be able to relate to that as well.
Sure. So this feature, Rabia, the check-in checkout feature, is mostly useful for all the counselors. So imagine you are coming to the office in the morning and you're checking in. So you get to know what is the date and the time stamp of what time you are checked in. And in the evening when you are leaving the office, you can also check out there. And it also has the date and timestamp along with the location. Okay, you need to enable the location tracking where obviously. So post that you'd get to know what time you are checked in, what time you are checked out, and along with the location. Similarly, the location enablement tracking is useful for universities where they have an outreach team, where the admissions are offline, where these people go to the multiple places. For example, they have an educational fair or they travel to different universities all across the country. So this location enablement tracking would be really useful, where it actually gives an entire transparency or visibility of each counselor traveling from one particular place to a different particular place all through the day, along with the location. So this would be a useful option for all the universities who are having offline admissions and also the outreach teams. So similarly, the voice notes as well, which Rabia was explaining earlier. So whenever I used to take the counselor training session for all the counselors, the counselor used to say, this is my favorite option at No Paper Forms. And I asked them the reason why, because they said, like, instead of typing, I can use the voice notes, record the notes, and next time when I'm going through that particular lead profile, I can hear my own thing, what I said last time, and accordingly, I can pitch to that particular student, and I can also remember the memory of what I have spoken to the student. So this voice notes has been a huge hit in the mobile app and in the No Paper Forms as well. So Rabia, what would you say, like, for the other things?
Yes, yes. In fact, this voice note, I think it's all about providing convenience and, more feasibility to the end user who are actually using the mobile app and conducting the entire admission process. So it's very easy. They don't have to type. They can just simply record up to a minute and they can listen to the recording later on as well. So in addition to that, in addition to the features that you've already discussed, we also have Google Sync Calendar as one of the recently added features under No Paper Forms mobile app, wherein, while adding up a follow-up, let's say I am a counselor, I am defining that this particular candidate has to be followed up on, let's say, 18th of June, right? At, let's say, 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. Sorry. So in that scenario, I do have an option in the mobile app to sync my follow-ups with my Google Calendar. Now, what Google Calendar does is it will basically showcase a notification 10 minutes before the follow-up. So it's kind of a notification reminder to the counseling teams, that, you have a call scheduled within the next 10 minutes with this particular candidate at this point of time. So the date and the time, whatever they're entering, will be synced with the Google Calendar. And I think this is, again, access driven. They'll be enabling the access if they want to make use of the feature. But I think this is going to really help the counseling teams manage their follow-ups also, right? Now, in addition to that, what we've also noticed, for example, we, again, the institutes who do not have any telephony vendor integration already done in place, right? What they would be doing earlier is, and they're not using the mobile app also, let's assume. So in that scenario, what they would be doing, they have the desktop version right in front of them. They will be able to see the candidate's email ID, mobile number, all the basic information. And to make a call to the candidate, they will be typing the mobile number, looking at the screen, and they'll be typing it in the keypad of the mobile device, and then they'll be calling. So what we are saying is, instead of doing that manual effort also, instead of typing it manually, simply just scan. So in the mobile device, now we have a scan QR code option available readily for all our team members, and they can just simply scan the student's profile against each and every profile. In the web version, there's a small QR code attached, right? They will just have to scan it, and automatically the student's profile page will open up in the No Pay Forms mobile app, and they can simply click on the call icon to make the calls. That's how convenient we are making the entire process.
So any counselor looking at the QR code, if you haven't tried it, try it right away. Please. And you can see the lead details. Okay.
Yes.
And Rabia, recently I was visiting one of this university where the offline admissions happened really well for them. So they were just scanning that using, I was actually thinking they were looking at the screen and scanning something. I was thinking what they are scanning. But then when I asked the counselor, it has become a routine for them to scan these on
Yes.
the No Paper Forms web version and then go to the lead details in on the mobile app and then start counseling to the students. So it has become actually a really useful thing. So anybody who is listening right now for in this webinar, if you haven't used it, so try using it right away and then you will get the lead details.
Definitely. In addition to that, the one more feature which is very, very heavily used and is a great feature for all the counseling team members, I'm sure it is going to solve a lot of their problems as well. Having a call pop-up, whenever it is an incoming call or an outgoing call, automatically, if at all the lead is a part of the NPF mobile app or not, by default, for any incoming, any outgoing call, by default, a pop-up will be shown on the counselor screen on the mobile device, right? Which will let them know whether it is a particular candidate already registered or not, right? If it is not registered, they can take the necessary action. If it is registered, then they can also take the necessary action to change the notes or change the follow-up, all of those things basically. Now, in addition to that, there's also one very important point over here. For example, a particular counselor, a particular candidate has called a counselor, right? Now, if that particular candidate is not assigned to me as a counselor, but let's say, Sai, you are a counselor again, and it is assigned to you. So in the pop-up, it will be actually letting me know that this is already a registered lead, right? But this is assigned to some other counselor. So I will, even though I'll be able to take up the call, right? I'll be able to add the note based on my communication with the student. However, whosoever will be the counselor to whom actually the lead is assigned, right? They'll be getting a notification as well that this is the conversation that they've had. And so it's just a notification reminder for the counselor that this is a candidate who called a particular person to get more information about the admission process. So I think this we have covered the all that features, new features that our particular mobile app had to offer.
So Rabia, before the demo, I just wanted a quick poll for the audience.
Yes.
And post this, we can have the demo, which the audience also would be waiting for. So the poll is about how do you track your performance of the team while on the go?
And the answers to the options available for our particular audience is option number 1, I can only track after having a discussion with the team. Option number 2, my team submits a report on Excel regularly. Option number 3, I have a mobile app which gives me real-time reporting. Option number 4, we don't need any sort of reporting. So I think this is going to form the basis of a demo also, right? Because this is exactly what we've been talking since the beginning of the session, that how are they actually tracking, whether are they able to do it irrespective if they have the No Paper Forms mobile app or not. And I believe my major concern is again, even if you're using the Excel sheets or you're just being dependent upon verbal communication with the particular team member, or if at all you don't have any tracking mechanism in place, that's where the gap, that is something that we also need to reduce, so that all the team members involved in the admission process, they can actively keep a track and monitor the performance of their team members as well as the leads also.
So again, it's a very important question again, Rabia, so that you can actually benchmark the team's performance on a week-on-week basis. Okay. Yeah. So first thing, how do you track? And the second thing is, how do you benchmark? So that's where if you are not able to track, obviously you will not be able to benchmark. So that's where the question comes, how are you tracking?
Yes. So I think it's time for the poll results as well. And as we can see, 10% of the audience have actually selected, I can only track after having a discussion with the team. 24% of the audience have actually selected the value as my team submits a report on Excel regularly. Okay, so I think this is something that we also need to very, really sure that, the teams are actually able to see what No Paper Forms mobile app can actually do and eradicate this manual process. 63% of the audience have selected the value as I have a mobile app which gives me real-time reporting. It's great, really, really happy to see that. And I'm sure with this session, you'll also be able to see how that can be further optimized.
Yeah, so I would also like, optimize the other 37% to do the same, so that obviously their admissions improve as well.
Definitely. In fact, my concern is for those 3% audience also, who said that, we don't have any sort of reporting. So I believe they'll also have major learnings and major takeaways for this particular session altogether.
So Rabia, one thing I wanted to talk about this mobile app is I've seen the journey in the past 3 years, pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID. It has been the lifeline of many counselors. I've seen the journey in during COVID, where we have seen a tremendous increase of in-app calling, and all the counselors were using the mobile app, and it has become a tradition post that. So if you look at the stats, more than 1 lakh calls have been made across the country. Imagine 1 lakh calls on the mobile app, okay, with almost 620 plus institutes, and moreover 20,000 users using the mobile app on a daily basis. So don't you think this is a transformation across the country?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, this is exactly what we've been talking about, right? Moving from the traditional approach to the evolved approach. And we have seen the impact this mobile app and the in-app calling functionality already has in the industry with all our partners. And I'm sure with this particular session, our teams who are already using this platform, they'll be able to take some key takeaways from this and make use of the same.
Exactly. So it only gets better. And yeah, that's what I would say.
Definitely.
So we have a few testimonials for our mobile app. So this has been given by a few of our prestigious clients.
Because again, the end users are the counseling team members and the team, admission team, marketing teams who are already using the platform up to the best. In fact, if you have any feedback, any suggestions, please do write to us. We'll be happy to take them over, and our customer success teams will be there to guide you through the same as well. And as we can see, there are multiple feedbacks, multiple testimonials that we've already received from our partners that are involved in the they have been putting up reviews on the Play Store.
And just to kind of revise the entire session, we started about what are the problems in the industry, how was the traditional approach, and we discussed on the evolved approach. We also discussed about the challenges in the traditional approach, and we also discussed on the app approach, which is acquiring and allocating leads. P is for prioritizing the leads, and the other P is for synchronizing and performing. And post that, Rabia showed you a demo of the entire mobile app, which she brilliantly covered the entire aspects of the mobile app. And we covered almost the important and major aspects of how to use the mobile app in a much better way, and not just for one team, but also for the all teams. When I talk about all teams, it's for the admissions team, it's how to nurture and prioritize your leads. And for the marketing team, the campaign manager, and for the management team, it's all about the dashboards with a single click of a button. And this is what we had a very good session today. And Rabia, would you like to say something to our audience?
I'm sure our audience would have enjoyed this session. I believe this would be an insightful session for you. I'm sure, with this session, I hope you'll be able to make use of the pointers and the features that we have discussed, the app approach in particular. And please, if you have any queries, any questions, any feedback, any suggestions that you would like us to address to, please do share the same with us. Thank you so much for joining us today.